With the rise in interest for the Trails franchise, and with Falcom now remaking the Trails in the Sky arc, starting with Trails in the Sky first chapter, I wanted to take the opportunity to look back at what makes this series so special. I've played through the original Trails in the Sky trilogy, as well as entries for 4 and 5 in the series, and I plan to review those remakes once they release. Personally, I think it's a matter of time before Falcom remakes the entire first arc. We already got confirmation that they're working on the second game, and I'm all for it. Unlike other JRPG franchises like Final Fantasy or the Tales series, where each entry tends to stand alone or loosely connect, the Legend of Heroes Trails series is completely different. Every single game builds on the previous ones, continuing a single sprawling narrative across regions, characters, and years of in-game history. Each arc introduces a new cast while keeping continuity through returning characters, references, and shared world events. It's one of the few game series that truly rewards players who start from the very beginning, as you'll gain a much deeper emotional connection and understanding of the story as a whole. But if you're new here, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon so you can be notified when new episodes drop. I really appreciate it. Now on to the review. For this review, I'm focusing on the Trails of Cold Steel arc, which marks the series' first full leap into fully 3D visuals, moving away from the top-down sprite-based style of the Trails in the Sky original games. Originally released for the PS3 and PS Vita, the graphics may look dated by modern standards, but the jump into 3D brought new life to the storytelling, character interactions, facial expressions, and combat presentation. I primarily played Trails of Cold Steel 1 on my Steam Deck, and performance was excellent. The game ran at a smooth 60 FPS almost the entire time. There was one large open area where performance dipped slightly, likely due to the draw distance and shadows, but lowering those settings fixed it easily. Otherwise, the experience was consistently solid and enjoyable. Now, in terms of story, with some light spoilers, I'm warning you guys, if you don't want to hear this part, go ahead and skip ahead. Trails of Cold Steel 1 takes place in the Erebonian Empire, a powerful nation filled with deep political tension, class division, and internal conflict between the noble and commoner factions. You play as Rien Schwarzer, a new student at Thor's military academy, who joins the newly formed Class 7, a special group that mixes students from both social classes for the first time. What starts as a simple school life setting quickly expands into a much larger story about the Empire's growing unrest and the forces pulling at it from within. The writing is one of the series' biggest strengths. Every student, teacher, and even side character has depth and purpose. Characters like Elisa, Eustace, Machias, Elliot, Laura, Emma, Gaius, Fee, and Sarah each have their own struggles, personalities, and motivations that unfold naturally through class field studies and personal bonding events. Speaking of those bonding events, one of Cold Steel's most defining features is its relationship system. Somewhat similar to the Persona series, you can choose who to spend your free time with, and depending on your choices, you'll unlock new cutscenes, dialogue, and occasionally gameplay benefits. These relationships can even shape moments in later games, creating subtle differences in dialogue and story beats that make every playthrough feel personal. To truly experience everything Trails of Cold Steel has to offer, multiple playthroughs are almost a must. That's not how I spend my time, because I'm trying to get through the entire series, but that is an option for those who have the interest in New Game Plus, because there are New Game Plus features. But it's always nice to know that if I ever want to play through the series again, I can make different choices and have a somewhat different experience. There are too many branching interactions and dialogue paths to see it all in one run, and that's part of what makes the series so rewarding for long-term fans. Not to mention that these games have a carryover mechanic, carrying over certain items and certain things, certain qualities to the next game in the series. Now, the story builds gradually. This isn't a fast-paced, action-driven plot like some JRPGs. Instead, it takes its time developing its world, politics, and characters, but that's exactly what makes the payoff so satisfying, especially as the events of the game lead into Trails of Cold Steel 2 and eventually connect with other arcs in the Trails universe. Another detail that I love is that as you're playing the game and get through the story, as events start to unfold, the NPCs in the world also respond and start to have new text and dialogue. So I highly recommend, if you're into that, speaking to everyone at every waking moment, and after every event, speak to the NPCs again, because they say different things and oftentimes can give you items that are oftentimes missables. Now let's talk about the battle system and one of the biggest features that defines the Trails series, the ordnance system. If you've ever played Final Fantasy VII, you might find this system somewhat familiar. It's almost like an evolved, more strategic offshoot of the materia system, but with its own identity and depth. Each character has an Arcus unit, which acts as a magical core where you equip quartz. Think of these as gems that grant new abilities, buffs, or elemental magic called arts. The combination of quartz you slot determines not only what spells a character can cast, but also their passive bonuses and sometimes even hidden combos. It's a clever system that rewards experimenting. For example, with Rain Schwarzer, I like my main character to be extremely powerful, so what I do is I equip quartz that cause delay, which causes enemies to delay their turn, as well as quartz that cause impede, which stops enemies from using their spell if they're in the middle of casting. And he's a wide range attacker too. He has many attacks that can attack all enemies at once, or at least a large amount of enemies at the same time, and you can really use this to your advantage. I often used him to end battles before they even began. On top of that, I would equip gear to allow his CP, that bar you see at the bottom with the green and yellow. That's what allows characters to use their more powerful attacks. The gear I would equip would allow that to build much faster and sometimes automatically throughout players' turns, so he can keep spamming those moves with the quartz that I described earlier. Once CP gets to about 100, you can use your most powerful attack, and if you let it build up to 200, it's the same attack but even more powerful. You can pretty much call that the character's limit breaks from Final Fantasy. That's basically what it is. Starting in Trails of Cold Steel, the series took this concept even further with the introduction of the link system. This allows you to pair up with characters in battle, and the more you fight together, the stronger your bonds become. As your link level increases, you unlock special teamwork abilities like follow-up attacks, automatic healing, or even covering allies from lethal blows. It's incredibly satisfying to see your team's synergy grow over time, especially when you start chaining turns and interrupting enemies before they can even make a move. That's a big part of what makes the combat feel so rewarding, using strategy, coordination to completely control the battlefield. The system strikes a great balance between turn-based tactics and fast, visually dynamic action. And while it's easy to pick up, there's a surprising amount of depth for players who love optimizing builds and experimenting with setups. So to wrap things up, I just want to say that while you can technically start your Trails journey with Trails of Cold Steel, you won't quite get the full emotional impact unless you start from the very beginning with the Trails in the Sky arc. That's where many of the world's foundations and character relationships are built. That said, I totally understand that not everyone has time to dive into the entire series, especially as an adult with work and responsibilities. So starting with Cold Steel isn't a bad entry point at all. In fact, it's one of the most accessible parts of the saga with its modern 3D presentation and refined mechanics. Now, some of you might be wondering why I'm starting my review here with the 6th game instead of Trails in the Sky. The main reason is that Trails in the Sky Remake just recently released and I haven't had the chance to play through it yet. I want to experience the new version firsthand before reviewing it, and since Cold Steel is an already complete and well-polished arc that bridges the old and new eras of the series, it's the perfect place to start getting people interested. And with Trails in the Sky being remade and already out now, and the Trails in the Sky 2 confirmed to be on the way, this is honestly the perfect time to get into the series. I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually remake the 3rd one as well. I'm not sure what will happen with 4 and 5, but if they stay the same, I'll definitely cover them in their original form. I plan to do a review of Cold Steel 2 next, probably within a week, and then Cold Steel 3 once I finish that one, which I'm currently working through right now. These videos are meant to get people interested in this incredible world and its continuing story, something that overall I'd give Trails of Cold Steel a 10 out of 10. The gameplay, the storytelling, the character depth, and especially the continuity between games make it one of the most unique and rewarding JRPG experiences you can find. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment below letting me know if you've played any of the Trails games or if you're thinking of starting. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you on the next one.